UFC 323. These are the full card predictions and the betting breakdown. Last pay-per-view of the year, maybe the last pay-per-view of all time. Looking forward to talking about each of the matchups on it. So make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on and make sure you share the video too. Also note, I will be live for the entire card. Saturday, December 6th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't miss the fight companion. And let's get into the first fight of the night. We have Muhammad Naimov versus Mairon Santos. My pick is Mairon Santos to go out and win. I like his style a lot. He's a very sharp Brazilian Thai style striker. He has good timing on his shots, and I feel like he can make good reads of a guy like Naimov, who has pretty good stance switches, and when he is switching the stances, actually has like good hooks in transition with the stance switch that he catches some guys over the top with. And he has a Taekwondo background, so watch for his spins. But those kind of techniques that I see from Naimov, wider shots and spinning attacks, somebody with the striking prowess of Naimov, I think he kind of picks that apart. I think that we have a more sharper striker on the side of Santos. I can see him working an educated jab from range, using that little bit of reach advantage that he has. Teeps to the body could be effective here. And I think he's going to be smoother on the feet with his footwork. He's going to be faster in striking. And he should be able to stop the Naimov takedown, because I do expect Naimov to look to wrestle, especially when met with the match on the feet. Naimov's wrestling's decent. He's got solid body locks and, decent single and double leg attempts and pressure towards the cage, but he's not spectacular at wrestling. It doesn't blow me away how he wins using wrestling, but he could look to, mix that up and then stifle the striking of Naimov with the wrestling threat. But I don't think that works. I can see Naimov getting caught going into range for takedowns by a Mairon Santos knee. I can see elbows from Santos in a defensive manner in the clinch. And I really could see Mairon Santos just tuning Muhammad Naimov up, picking him apart. Now, does he knock Naimov out? Hard to say. He puts Naimov away. Naimov comes in fantastic shape. He's never been knocked out, I don't believe, as a professional. Yeah, only a sub loss to Felipe Lima in the third round. But he has been touched up on the feet. He has been hit clean before. And I think he's dealing with one of the sharpshooters of the weight class. I like the Brazilian Thai style over what Naimov is bringing to the table. I expect 3 good rounds of work. I think Naimov will have some moments. I think he will land maybe a couple of the spinning back body kicks. But if he looks to go up high with it, I could even see Mairon Santos countering him with a takedown as he looks for those spinning attacks, like the one that he landed on Bogdan Grad, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going with the side of Mairon Santos to win. I feel like he seems like a lock to me in this fight. He's a minus 225 favorite with Muhammad Naimov at plus 190. Recognize this. Odds came out, they were minus 150. It is quickly moved to minus 225. I will be under the assumption that as we lead into fight week and then as we get to the Friday before the fights, there's a real possibility this Mairon Santos line over Naimov is more towards a minus 310, maybe even more than that. So if you are considering, going for the Mairon Santos side, maybe in a parlay, or maybe you're going for a chalky locky straight down the center, I think sooner rather than later is a good call. And obviously that's why I'm dropping this video out nice and early for the people, so you guys have time. I look at Mairon Santos' striking skill set and I see a gift of timing. I see a gift of reflexes. And I do hear the naysayers. Well, what about Clayton Carpenter? Bro, I literally Clayton Carpenter, Francis Marshall on the reg, call them each other. Sorry about that. Francis Marshall probably could have got the nod on the decision, but that doesn't tell me that Naimov wins. And Santos looked great in his last fight against Sadiq Yusuf. Now, albeit it was up at 155 pounds, but I don't think Santos is going to have too much trouble with the scale. I think we have an in-shape Mairon Santos looking good on the feet, stopping takedowns, landing some big elbows in close range, picking at him with teeps to the body, landing long-range strikes, attacking the legs well. Naimov's going to look to get a little reckless with wild shots. Santos can counter it. I would love to see Santos time a straight and knock Naimov out, but the Naimov chin, it's not bad, and he is in fantastic physical condition too. But if we see Santos by knockout, it's not going to blow my mind. So it's not an impossibility. I'm curious when the props do drop, what a Santos knockout would look like. Because I will say there is a tell. At times when Naimov switched, you know that he's shooting the wide shots. I could see Santos, who's a sharp shooter down the center, recognizing the pattern and then catching him with a straight down the center and potentially rocking him and then finishing him off with some ground and pound strikes. So Mairon Santos to pick. I think he goes out and wins. Decision is the first thought, but it wouldn't be crazy if he got a knockout. And, Mairon Santos' game is usually tactical decision or a violent KO. Both are live here. And I think if Santos does find the kill shot, way better for his stock. And prop betting wise, that might be the money call. So we'll talk about it when the props are out during fight week. Nonetheless, Santos to pick. Next fight on the card. Tapology's order is out of whack, but I'm going off the actual UFC order here. Mansour Abdul-Malik versus Antonio Trócoli. If this isn't a squash match and a half, I don't know what is. I mean, Trócoli is 35, 0-2 in the UFC, and he looked like shit. Tresean Gore subbed him easy a year ago, and that Tresean Gore loss has aged like fucking milk. Tresean Gore then went on to get out kickboxed by jiu-jitsu champion Rodolfo Vieira. So I look at Trócoli's game, and I view him as a limited fighter. His striking is kind of sloppy. I mean, he's got okay kicks, but with the hands, it's a little weird. It's a little awkward. It's not technical. How he does okay on the feet and survives against Shara Bullet is really because he's 6'5" with an 80-inch reach. And Shara, especially a year and 4 months ago, wasn't taking the same level of risk. And I think Shara's gotten better since then, to be fair. And Shara still violently knocks him out. I look at Antonio Trócoli's skill set, and it's just not UFC level. Like, aside from having on paper some grappling, his striking is pretty bad. You look at him on Contender Series. This is now a long time ago. It was in 2019, okay? He goes out and he submits Kenneth Berg, right? Dude test positive for steroids, okay? Some fucking nandrolone, bro, bulking himself up. This fight was at light heavyweight. He shrunk down. He lost some mass for sure, getting off the sauce and, getting signed to the UFC because he was dating Mackenzie Dern, I don't think he's UFC level, and I think that's why he's being used here as an opponent for Mansour Abdul-Malik. I'm talking so much bad about Trócoli. Let me actually talk about what Malik can do. Malik has a wrestling background. Malik is very good at overwhelming and breaking people. He's lost early portions in fights, but his relentlessness gets him the win. His kickboxing is not bad. He's got decent straight shots. He's got some heavy kicking skills. Very much an athlete and a bit of a raw talent with a strong wrestling base and a very heavy will to win. Now, last time it was a draw against Cody Brundage. It was actually overturned to a draw. You guys remember the fight. The original result, they ended up giving him the fight. And then, the overturning, they switched it to the fight was not complete. So the round wasn't complete. They shouldn't be scored, et cetera, et cetera. Fights then overturned. And now he's sitting at a damn draw against the side of Cody Brundage. That gave him some trouble, but I'm not going to say Cody Brundage in a weird fight having a draw with him should be enough to then say, oh, well, Trócoli's beating him. Nah, I think Mansour Abdul-Malik has got this. He's 2-0 in the UFC. And honestly, the Dusko Todorovic knockout was pretty sweet. Come back against Nick Klein after some early adversity. I think he's finishing Trócoli. Probably a knockout. I'm thinking maybe ground and pound. I see Trócoli wilt into some power shots or getting pounded out, against the cage. Big takedown from Abdul-Malik. Trócoli can't stop the ground and pound onslaught, and he ends up just turtling up. So Abdul-Malik all day. I think he should dominate. I think he should finish. I think he should absolutely wreck the side of Antonio Trócoli. It's not going to be competitive. Now, you may be looking at betting lines and wondering, where are they? I don't know. I've scoured the web and have yet to find them. When I do, you guys will know. But I will tell you what the odds, I assume, are. -400, Mansour Abdul-Malik at open would make a lot of sense, and he will swell to a -5 to -600 favorite. If you find Mansour Abdul-Malik at -350, recognize you are going to want to attack that line ASAP if you're looking to put in a parlay or something like that, because it is only going to get wider. This is a fight where I would pay very close attention to when the lines drop if you are looking to capitalize on potentially putting in a parlay, because if you get a gift at open that it's like, reasonable-ish in the minus 300 range, that is value right there because I don't see Trócoli having a pathway. Like if Malik was minus 800, I'm not shocked. But there is a chance. Granted, I don't know. The bookies might be watching the show. Maybe there won't be a chance. But there is a chance that the odds open up at a little bit too close, and then it can be a worthwhile shoot in a parlay with Mansour Abdul-Malik. And that's something that I'm going to look for, especially Malik inside distance, potentially even Malik knockout. If you look at Malik's skill set, it is violence first, right? Never won a fight by decision, never gone the distance. 7 KOs, 1 submission. Could he end up submitting a guy like Trócoli? Absolutely. Absolutely, he could. Ground and pound into a rear naked choke or an arm triangle. Sure, it's there. So inside distance for Malik would be nice. But I assume that even at open is probably, minus 300, maybe more, especially, the props come out after the initial money lines come out. So could end up, we see the money line swell fast and then we have an inside distance at, minus 400 or more. But I do think Mansour Abdul-Malik wins. He should get the finish. I'm going to say initial call is definitely knockout, ground and pound finish, potentially punches on the feet too, but I'm more feeling the ground and pound. But I don't think it's crazy if he did lock up a submission against like a battered and beaten Antonio Trócoli. That sub could definitely open itself up and Trócoli maybe given the neck. So if you want my guess, I'm assuming that submission is going to be at plus money and knockout is going to be in the negative, in the minus something. So maybe submission if you're looking more for some like DGen plus side. But I do think there's a real chance that, Malik wins by ground and pound knockout. He'll definitely get an inside distance and he should be a lock to win the fight. So Mansour Abdul-Malik to go out and absolutely destroy the side of Antonio Trócoli, who should not be on the roster. Next fight. Ibo Aslan versus Iwo Baraniewski. I like this matchup. I'm picking Iwo over Ibo. The battle of the Ibo and Iwo, I just think Iwo is superior. Iwo is coming off of a sensational first round, sub 1 minute, one hitter kill, really, not even quitter, one hitter kill shot against Muhammad Ali, who was a hyped up Brazilian jiu-jitsu fighter turned, MMA prospect. That was his jack, scary Brazilian on Contender Series, and it took one shot from Baraniewski. Iwo Baraniewski is a very dangerous Polak, okay? He is a good Polish fighter on the come up right now. I truly think that Iwo Baraniewski has a nasty straight down the line that could land with some absolute thunder. Okay, watch for the straight right of the powerful Iwo Baraniewski. He loves to find it. And Ibo Aslan has shite head movement. Okay. Ibo Aslan is very much a plotter, right? He's one of the slower light heavyweights. He is a wild power puncher. He rips wide looping type shots that come a little bit crazy. He gets stiff. He's very hittable down the center line. And a guy like Iwo can certainly find the target. Grappling defense is suspect. We saw Cutelaba submit him. I predicted Cutelaba as an underdog there to win that fight using the grappling. And then last time he got out kickboxed by Billy Elikana in the worst fight ever. Not really the worst fight ever, but a really shit fight. And now he takes on a guy in Iwo Baraniewski that seems to have limitless potential. I don't know how far Baraniewski can take it, but I do think that Ibo is incredibly overrated. He has the look of a menace, but his actual skills are rather limited, and I'm not very impressed. I have not been impressed with the UFC run. Even the win against the pleasure man, Trócoli, he was getting stung up. His eye was shut. And then, okay, he beat Cicada. Cicada is awful. He just got destroyed at UFC Qatar with ease. Baraniewski has legit potential. And not only is he a 6-0 pro fighter, recognize he was 17-3 as an amateur, and that's just the fights they have tracked. I'm sure he has more. And he has like Polish grappling credentials as well. He won on Contender Series. Obviously, we've had guys come in like Bujo with, the grappling credentials, but no high-level fights, and he turned out to look pretty mid against Denzel Freeman. This is different for this Polish savage, okay? I think Iwo Baraniewski is going to go out and do bad things to Ibo Aslan. I think that the striking could definitely work. He's got big power in that straight, and I think he can land a straight. But I also think the close range, like a body lock trip, definitely live for Baraniewski. I think Baraniewski can end up in top position. Expect ground and pound. Baraniewski's a finisher from top. But again, a fight where a submission could really open itself up. I could see Ibo getting smashed and then Baraniewski getting the back and choking him out or hitting an arm triangle. So definitely Baraniewski inside distance. Ground and pound is his style. Granted, he knocked Muhammad Ali out with one shot. He's got big pop in the hands too. But with Ibo Aslan, like I could see him landing some shots into takedowns, being the better MMA fighter, and then using those high-level grappling skills with a little ground and pound, the submission will open itself up. And I think there's a chance Ibo Aslan gives it to him. So I'm going Baraniewski to finish this fight. I think he should get the stoppage here. I think it should be pretty one-sided. He's a minus 170 favorite. At open, he was minus 150. I agree with him being a near 2-1 favorite. I think Friday before the fight, he should be minus 200 or more. I think Ibo Aslan, very overrated, bit of a plotter. And now dealing with an actual decent fighter on the side of Baraniewski, where Ibo Aslan, if you guys remember, he was booked to fight against Junior Tafa in September, who is the definition of one-dimensional, okay? So now he's taking on a well-rounded MMA prospect who's 27 years old, coming off a massive win on Contender Series, who seems to have the goods in all areas. I really think Ivo Baraniewski is somebody to keep an eye on here, whereas I don't think Ibo Aslan has a UFC staying potential. I think Ibo Aslan is just a slugger. And I think that Baraniewski should absolutely expose him in all areas. I could see shots landing and him cracking Ibo and hurting him on the feet. But I will say, path of least resistance is to land some big shots, beat down Ibo a bit, and then engage in the grappling and use his advantage there. I know Ibo was, before the Elikhanov fight in Dagestan, working some wrestling defense. But just because you go to Dagestan to train does not turn you into a Dagestani. Okay, you do not become a Team Habib prospect just because you went to that region of the world and worked on some wrestling. And Ivo Baraniewski has legitimate grappling skill to go alongside of very dangerous power and obviously a ton of amateur experience with the 6-0 pro record. I respect what I'm seeing from Ivo Baraniewski. I think he's a problem, and I think he's going to go out and win a pretty lopsided fight. And I'll predict that he gets the finish here. And I do think knockout, ground and pound makes sense, but I'm telling you, man, I can see the submission. I can see the sub opening up and him locking something in. Next fight, Edson Barboza versus Jalin Turner. Tricky pick. Tricky pick. I'm picking Jalin Turner, but let me tell you why I think it's a tricky pick. Because Jalin Turner has confidence issues. Jalin Turner retired after his loss to Ignacio Bahamondes. 8 months ago, he's 29 years old. He retires from MMA. He regroups, he regathers himself, and he's like, what am I doing? Why am I retiring from the sport? He's a very good athlete, and he has long limbs, 75.5-inch reach and long legs. He's 6'3" in the lightweight division, which is kind of crazy. Jalin Turner has the distance edge on Edson Barboza with his length, but he also is going to have the advantage in grappling. My worry is, though, Edson Barboza, if you play his game, if you're playing a sharp shooting game, I think Edson Barboza has a lot of damage that he could do with kicks to the body and kicks to the legs. I think Jalin Turner could actually get to Edson with punches. The worry is Jalin Turner's mentality, right? When I saw the Bahamondes fight, and I went back and rewatched that today, and I said to myself, wow, Jalin Turner pulled out of that triangle, kind of giving the submission, kind of giving it to Ignacio Bahamondes. Like, I don't think he absolutely fought his hardest to get out. He kind of gave him the space to secure it and then quickly tapped. I didn't like that. But when Jalin Turner is on, you're talking about a guy that went to war with Dan Hooker, went to war with Mateusz Gamrot, knocked out Bobby Green in one shot, dropped Renato Moicano, and if he decided to follow up, probably knocks him out in the first round, but tries a walk-off. So the mental side of Jalin Turner worries me because he said he couldn't get over that Money Moicano loss. But when he's on, he's a problem. And Jalin Turner is definitely going to be faster and more primed than a near 40-year-old Edson Barboza. So I am going to pick Jalin Turner to win. I think he's live to win a decision. I think he's live to engage in some grappling and maybe take Edson down and win some striking exchanges. But when he gets kicked hard to the leg or kicked hard to the body, my worry is the wilt in the mentality. I want to see his body language throughout fight week. We are far from it, but I want to see what he looks like at the weigh-in. I want to see, not because of the weight cut necessarily, because I want to see the Jalin Turner energy. I want to listen to the media day. I want to hear, where is his head at after retiring from the sport at 29 and now making a quick comeback and taking on a guy that is washed in Edson Barboza. Not completely, but washed. Deteriorating skill set from what he once was capable of. But a guy on the side of mentality that never wants to retire. Like, Edson Barboza's crazy. He ain't retiring after this fight no matter what happens, okay? And that's something scary. Whereas, like, you thought about walking out and staying out, and now you're walking back in. And I got Edson that, yeah, maybe the door is right there to leave, and they're trying to shove him out, but he just keeps coming. He keeps fighting. Against Drakkar Close, he had moments, but he got outdogged. Lost to Lerone Murphy. Had 2 wins against Sadiq Yusuf, who rocked him bad in round 1, and I could see Jalin hurting Edson in round 1. And then Billy Q knockout is nice. And then obviously the Bryce Mitchell loss. That's a weird one on the record right now that Bryce is down at bantamweight, but Bryce looked good in that fight. I feel like Jalin Turner could win. I think he could hurt Edson. I think he could out-grapple Edson. Like, I really think if Jalin Turner fights to his true potential, which is a hope, not a reality, he is the more dangerous and more prime fighter, and he should win. The problem is, will he? I don't know if he will. I don't know. I can't tell you guys for certain, but I do think you talk about, does he have the skill set that can lead him to victory against a 39-year-old, nearly 40-year-old Edson Barboza, whose style is built on his strike speed and timing? Absolutely. Remains to be seen. I'll pick Jalin Turner, but proceed with caution on the gambling side because he is a minus 250 favorite. And if Edson Barboza is on and Jalin is off, I could see Jalin Turner get knocked out here. Minus 250 for Jalin, plus 210 for Edson. I definitely will be looking closely at fight week for this one, and I want to see the emotion that Jalin has. I want to hear what he says. I want to watch him on the scale. I want to get a read and make sure that I feel good about this. Like, I don't think you're crazy if you're like, I'm kind of thinking Edson might have a shot here. I get it. I get it because you're talking about a Jalin Turner that retired at 29. But you're also talking about a Jalin Turner that when the mentality is strong, he's giving Dan Hooker hell and breaking his arm. He's going after it with a short notice Gamrot. He's knocking out Bobby Green in one shot. You see what I'm saying? This Moicano fight fucked up his head, but now it's almost 2 years ago. It's time to get over it. And if he can get over it, he's also not dealing with a guy in this fight, Edson Barboza, who poses a threat where? In grappling. He doesn't have to worry. It's striking. Jalin should have the grappling advantage. He should have the physicality advantage. And I think Jalin Turner can go out and win. Be the better MMA fighter, probably mix in some takedowns too. Be the better athlete, which he is. More primed athlete, which he certainly is. But he needs the mental strength too. So it's about mental fortitude more than the rest. And if Jalin shows up with that, he should go out and win. I'll go Jalin Turner over Edson. I think decision, but wouldn't be crazy if he pulled off a finish of, an aging Edson Barboza. So Jalin Turner going to be the call, but that 14-9 record, that retirement, there's some things that got me wondering, are we sure? We'll see fight week. Really, we'll see the Friday before. Next fight. Marvin Vettori versus Bruno Ferreira. Sorry, Italy. I'm going with Bruno Ferreira. I can't pick Marvin Vettori. First thing, Italian MMA is just, it's abysmal, dog. The Italian MMA is just not doing good. The one Italian from the distance, Giancomo della Maddalena, he just got handled bad. So, just trending down. I'm picking Bruno Ferreira not because of, Italian MMA sucking. No, I'm picking Bruno Ferreira because he is a problem for a Marvin Vettori who doesn't really offer a finishing threat. Marvin Vettori, as jacked as he is, he doesn't have power. He's got a decent southpaw straight left and a decent southpaw right hook. But again, not really fight-ending abilities. He's got heavy body kicks, but not fight-ending skills. Whereas Bruno Ferreira hits with serious impact every time that he throws. And he also doesn't have a flaw in grappling. Bruno Ferreira has a base of judo. Ferreira has a very strong base. He's got good submission skills. He's got 2 straight sub wins. Granted, the guys he's submitting, Armin Petrosian, is just the striker. He should just go to kickboxing. And Jackson McVeigh, right, it's Jackson McVeigh. You know what I'm saying? His grappling is just not good. But at the end of the day, Bruno Ferreira is dangerous in the striking with a power advantage. I think his stand-up matches up really nicely with Marvin Vettori here. And I think his grappling defense matches up with Vettori too. The worry with Ferreira is he has the definition of shit cardio because his whole career is finishes. Look. Never has he ever been to decision. I don't love that. I don't love her gassed out Ferreira because in round number 3, as much as you can beat on Vettori, like he could still be alive and he could land a takedown and he could squeeze for a Darce or jump a Gilly or grab a back take into a rear naked strangle or an arm triangle. It's just, I think Bruno Ferreira is going to do damage throughout the first 10 minutes and maybe actually knock Vettori out. Vittori's never been knocked out before, but he also has taken a lot of damage. Like Brendan Allen beat the piss out of him last time, and he looked bad in that fight. Like it was a great back and forth fight, but Brendan Allen beat the absolute hell out of him and looked like a world-class kickboxer in that fight. Granted, Brendan Allen's on fire right now, but Vettori got beaten, man. The last win for Vettori is a Dolidze win nearly 3 years ago, which he lost in the rematch, and the first win was controversial anyways. And, you know, it is what it is. I'll say it now. At the moment, I was like, at the time, I was like, I'm Vettori. Nah, man, I mean, you could have gave it. No, like he probably should have lost that thing. And then what, 2021 against Paulo Costa at light heavyweight? Vettori hasn't looked good in a long time. He might be saying, oh, but he's only 33. But dude, his prime is beyond us now, okay? His prime was here from 2019 to 2021, right? When he came off the Adesanya fight, he's still gleaming with confidence and a dream to get the fucking trilogy with Adesanya. He whoops Paulo Costa. And then the downfall of a man. Like, that was his prime. He had a good few year run. But I think that prime is out. And I think Bruno Ferreira is more primed and with a more dangerous striking style, with finishing implications every time that he throws, with big shots over the top that he rips. Like, I like the side of Bruno Ferreira on the feet. He's deceptively quick, too. With the judo base, he should be able to keep it a striking fight and probably back Vettori up and hurt him. I think he'll be able to walk through Vettori's shots. And it's not like Bruno Ferreira isn't comfortable out of both stances, which is nice against a southpaw like Vettori. I can't trust in this version of Vettori we've seen. I'm going to go with Bruno Ferreira, who, you know, early UFC debut, he knocked out RoboCop, for God's sake. And he could knock Vettori out, too. Odds are even. At open, they were even. They're still even. I'm excited to watch the odds and see how they shift as we get closer to fight day. I think Bruno Ferreira will be a bit of a favorite as we get to fight day, because you're looking at momentum 4-1 in the last 5 versus 1-4 in the last 5. You know, you're looking at this destructive loss, and then you're looking at this loss here, and then you're looking at 2 years, 5 months off. So he's been back. He's been active, Vettori, which is nice, but he's also taking damage, man. I like the other side more. I like the activity rate of Bruno Ferreira a lot. And I think Bruno Ferreira is a tough matchup for Vettori. I get it. Abus Magomedov got him with the arm triangle. Yes, he did have Abus badly hurt in that fight. I know that's like the one thing, though. The gas tank of Ferreira is just Vettori has not finished a fight since the Carl Roberson win. You guys remember that? Holy smokes, that's a long time ago. 2020, dude. I had just started the channel, okay? That is when he finished his last fight. Vettori is a decision merchant, and he's got a good chin, too. And Ferreira not going distance doesn't mean he can't win a decision. Maybe it's 29-27. He gets a 10-8 first round, 10-9 second, and then he loses the third, you know, or vice versa with the second and first. I'm going with the bigger hitter. I'm going with Bruno Ferreira. And won't blow my mind if he's the first guy to chin Vettori, because just because you've never been knocked out doesn't mean you can't be knocked out. So Bruno Ferreira to get it done is going to be my prediction. Next fight on the card, it's Fares Ziam versus Nazim Sadykhov. I love this fight. I am picking Nazim Sadykhov to beat Fares Ziam, and I am very excited for this matchup, okay? I am very excited to watch Nazim Sadykhov and Fares Ziam go after it. I think that Nazim Sadykhov's punch combinations are going to be a nice factor in this fight. He's going to have a bit of a hand speed advantage in boxing range over Fares. And you might be saying, but look at that reach difference. Fair point. Fares Ziam is very long from distance, but it's not like he doesn't get tangled up in close with guys. And yes, he's got a nice elbow from close range. Sadykhov's got nice shots from close range too. And I would argue that Sadykhov, being a southpaw, should make it a tad bit easier for him to close that distance here against Fares Ziam, who's a good long-range striker. And Ziam, though, in close, he does have nice elbows, right? He does have decent strength on the inside. But if you're talking about Sadykhov's grappling or Ziam's, I like Sadykhov's more. I think Nazim Sadykhov has better jiu-jitsu. I think Sadykhov has better takedowns. Sadykhov more of a dog, which the way that he presses and makes it a back and forth war. I think Nazim Sadykhov can get this win here against Fares Ziam. I think he can pass this puzzle. Ziam from distance is a sharp shooter, but Sadykhov closing the gap and catching Ziam with some big shots in range. Sadykhov taking this fight to the ground. I think Sadykhov could get the mount on Ziam, get some ground and pound going. I think Sadykhov could take Fares Ziam's back here. I really rate the grappling of Sadykhov's as a superior skill set, and I like his close range boxing more. For Ziam, I like the distance striking. I like the teeps to the body. I like the long jab. I like the high kick ability and the body kick ability and the close range knees and elbows. Absolutely. But I think Sadykhov can match that skill set with the advantage in grappling and stifle a bit of the offensive striking and then succeed with some big shots from top position and a threat of a finish from top position too. I like Nazim Sadykhov to go out and win this fight. I think he's going to be able to put a pace on Fares Ziam. I think he's going to be able to hurt Fares Ziam. And I think he's live to go out and beat Fares Ziam in a pretty good back and forth fight. As far as the odds, Sadykhov is a dog, plus 110. Ziam sitting at minus 135. Sadykhov has the power to hurt Fares. Fares has the elbow and the precision. Like, he could catch Sadykhov, but I don't know about Ziam rocking Sadykhov. I think Sadykhov's going to be able to deal with Ziam's kickboxing and close that gap, especially with the mixing of some grappling. And then I look at Fares Ziam, like Mike Davis still had moments from top position on him. Even, Matt Frivola got to mount on him. Fares Ziam's bottom game is not great. And I think that Nazim Sadykhov could exploit that ground game. If there is ever a time to showcase that he's got 2 sub wins and he grew up with the Serra Longo team, it's now. I think Sadykhov could use some grappling to secure a back take, to secure a mount, to secure some ground and pound, and to threaten with a submission finish. I think that'd be smart for Sadykhov, who I know can box with Ziam, but with all the weapons from long range Ziam has, it's tough to deal with. But I think Sadykhov is going to be able to find the way to win here. I'm going Nazim Sadykhov to pull this one off, and I think he is live to win this fight on the mat. And I like the underdog status for him at plus 110. He's a former Savage dog lock. He checks the boxes. Forward pressure is on point. Boxing skills are on point. He's got that dog in him. Absolutely brings the fucking fight. And the ground skills are the X factor in this matchup here. I think that using some grappling is a good strategy, but not just grappling, striking to the grappling. Grappling and then using that grappling edge to get in your opponent's head and then start landing bigger shots in the feet, because now they have a panic in their mind. Oh, fuck, man. If he gets me down, he's strong. He's good from top position. Shit, man. That takedown. Oh, fuck, I'm losing minutes here stuck on my back. And I think those are tools that should help in solving this difficult Morocco-French kickboxer Fares Ziam style. So I'm going with Nazim Sadykhov to get the hand raised in this one. And I think he is live to get in top position and land some big shots and potentially submit Ziam. But he doesn't need to. He can win a back and forth fight. He just can't get caught sitting on the outside slugging from long range and then getting caught with straights from Ziam coming in by being over aggressive. So timing the setups to close the distance, which I think Sadykhov does do quite well, and then disguising some takedowns behind punches, landing a couple. These are all pathways to success for Nazim Sadykhov. And I think that the Azerbaijan, Brooklyn, New York Savage, Nazim Sadykhov is taking home a massive W. So I'm going with the underdog. I'm going with Sadykhov to pull this one off against Fares Ziam. And I'm excited for this matchup. Next one, the ladies going after it. We got Maycee Barber versus Karine Silva. I'm picking Karine Silva to go out and win this fight. I think Silva is better than Maycee. I am not a Maycee Barber witness or believer necessarily. She's a high output, aggressive striking southpaw with pretty good kicks and punch flurries and a decent ground game to go alongside of it. Definitely has good cardio, but she's hittable with straight shots. Her actual wrestling grappling, is it better than Karine Silva? The way she beats Karine Silva is like just beating her in the battle of output and turning this into a high-paced fight, and Karine Silva slowing down and her stealing rounds like second and third. But if you're talking about Karine Silva's game, she's a sharper blade in the stand-up. She's a more tactical and skillful striker. She got good teeps to the body, good straight shots down the line. She got power in her right hand. She has good knees to the body. She has a good top game. She has a good submission game. You look at that Arujau fight and you rewatch it. Yes, Silva got tired in round 3. I get it. but she could have got that decision. You look at the Barboza fight. Yes, she was on her back in moments, but she's still throwing shots. I think Karine Silva is still a talent in this weight class, especially when I got active Karine Silva fighting 3 months ago. Okay. So, a year ago and then 3 months ago, she's made improvements since that loss. And 3 months ago fought versus Maycee Barber, who fought a year and 8 months ago. She's had some fights scheduled, right? She was supposed to fight Thug Rose, pulled out of that fight, supposed to fight Aaron Blanchfield, misses weight, and they said she wasn't medically cleared. I heard the rumor mill that she ended up saying, I'm not walking, I'm not fighting, had a panic attack backstage. Whether or not she fainted, that's what I've heard. Remains to be seen. But I know she's had a layoff. I know she, pulled out of the main event right as they were set to walk to the damn cage. I think that Karine Silva is a difficult puzzle for Maycee Barber to deal with here. I think Karine Silva is going to look sharp, and I feel like Karine Silva still has some upside. It's easy to judge just because you see red, oh, there's a loss. But that fight was close. And I think that Maycee Barber is not as good with offensive boxing accuracy as Arujau. And I don't feel like Maycee Barber is going to bully Karine Silva in any area. I think Silva's the harder puncher, and she's got the reach advantage. And I think her jiu-jitsu's a problem. I think she could be in top position. And you say, oh, but Diani Barboza went the distance with her. Listen, she avenged that loss to Barboza. And Barboza's a tricky fighter too. I think Karine Silva is going to win this fight. I'm not ready to jump off the hype train just yet of the fighting nerds female. I'm going to go with Karine Silva to get it done. I think she's live to pull this one off. I could see her rocking Maycee Barber with big punches. I could see her getting on top of Maycee Barber. I could see her even threatening with submissions. I could see Maycee Barber busted up. I think it's going to be a good back and forth fight, but I think Karine Silva is going to be the one that gets the hand raised at the end of it. And I think that overlooking Karine Silva, bad recipe, man. Bad idea, especially with the Maycee Barber that's been out a year and 8 months. That's a while off. And she was fighting a Caitlin Sermonara, Caitlin Chukagian formerly, who hadn't fought in a while. Who's retired now. Who's not fighting. Who's past their prime. Amanda Hebos, who's fallen from grace since then. Andrea Lee, I don't know, man. I think styles make the fights. I think Karine Silva is a difficult matchup for Maycee Barber. Karine Silva's an underdog, plus 135. I think she should be the favorite. If she wins a split decision nod against Araujo, she is a minus 170 to minus 210 favorite in this spot. I think that Karine Silva is able to win this decision. I'm going with Karine Silva, and it's not like she couldn't threaten with submissions either. I'm not impressed by Maycee Barber. I think she's decent. I think she's in good shape. I think she's got high output strikes, but a year and 8 months off, red flag. I don't think she's got the power to deal with Karine. Yeah, she fucked up Hebos. She rocked her with the high kick, caught her with big shots. Yes, that was perfect. That's not going to be against Karine Silva, though. I think Karine Silva physically going to be stronger, sharper blade in the striking, and more power in the hands. I'm going with the Karine Silva side to go out and win. And the fact that she's an underdog is interesting to me. Next fight on the card, we got Terrence McKinney versus Chris Duncan. They're putting me to war on this card. I'm going to go with Chris Duncan. I think Chris Duncan can survive the Terrence McKinney first round. Terrence McKinney is a rocket, but when that flame burns out, there's nothing else, right? It's round one or bust for Terrence McKinney. That's all it goes down as. He really has one speed, and it's all blast. And if the all blast fails him, the fighter that's live to make adaptations, the fighter that is proven to come back from adversity, that's Chris Duncan. Either Terrence McKinney is winning or he's not. It's not like he's had to dig through the depths and find ways back into fights. Now, to give McKinney credit, he has power in both hands. He has explosive striking attacks. He does have a strong wrestling game, and he does have a legitimate submission skill set. But he's been hand-fed favorable matchups his whole UFC career, or at least with his wins. And if you really look at the record, okay, biggest wins are his debut against Matt Frivola, which was one punch, and the Fares Ziam win in his second UFC appearance. And then it's Slava Claus. Beat by Drew Dober after starting fast, knocked out. Bonfim knocks him out with a flying knee. Sadykhov chokes him out. Esteban Ribovics knocks him out with a head kick in 37 seconds. And then he runs through Brendan Morodi, who got destroyed by Dogarian through the damn fight recently at 145. Mike Breeden, what does that really mean, though? Damir Hadzovic, washed. Slava Claus, can't grapple at all. If Chris Duncan can survive the first round, the submission onslaught specifically, because I think Terrence McKinney's like, oh, Manuel Torres got him that way. Let me try to follow suit. Let me try to get that back. And I think Duncan working with Grant Dawson, training hard at ATT, I think he's going to be prepared for the blitz of McKinney. And when it turns into a more tactical fight, Chris Duncan's going to start picking him apart. Chris Duncan's going to start hurting him with punches. Chris Duncan's going to break him. I'm going Chris Duncan to stop him. I think he gets it done in the second round. I think he probably deals with hell in round one, starts finding some shots on the feet, defending the grappling attack, fighting off submission attempts, and then starts going into his flow. And Terrence McKinney is then forced into a defensive shell. And Terrence McKinney is stopped with big punches. Or potentially Duncan wants to choke him out. Chris Duncan's got 2 of his last 3 wins by Gilly. I could see him jumping Gilly here against McKinney and hitting it. I definitely think a tired McKinney is tapping to the Gilly. Last time he just beat Mateusz Rambeshki. Yes, Mateusz Rambeshki is, a weird guy in the weight class because he's good, but he also fights kind of dumb. The way he just blitzes forward with pressure and throws big shots and is willing to absorb a ton of damage. Well, Duncan outdogged him and beat him. And then the loss was to Manuel Torres, who was a fucking monster, and caught him with a perfect position too and got the back when he was dry. And that is what Terrence McKinney is going to try to copy. So I don't think it's crazy if you're like betting wise, hedging bets like, yo, let me throw McKinney round 1. And then I got Duncan maybe by finish as well, inside distance, but I got the hedge of McKinney in the first round, something along those lines. I don't know what you got. I don't know what the props are going to look like yet. We'll find out. But I do believe that Chris Duncan has more ways to win. Duncan could win in a striking fight, in a back and forth kickboxing match, and him finding shots and knocking McKinney out. Duncan could win a decision. Duncan could win by submission. Whereas like for McKinney, it's first round explosive onslaught, either into a knockout or a submission, or it is a loss. There's no in between. If you look at McKinney's career, that's what it is though. Like if you haven't really paid attention to his record, maybe you never did this. He has had 1 submission win outside of the first round. Okay. He's had 8 first round knockouts, 8 first round submissions. His losses, 2 in round 2 by knockout, 1 in round 2 by sub, but also has 3 first round losses. 4 first round losses, 3 first round knockout losses. Been outside of the second round once. Terrence McKinney is 5 minutes of madness. I think Chris Duncan can deal with that chaos. I think that he's got the refined tool set to deal with that. He's on a nice 3-fight winning streak. He just beat a monster in Mateusz Rambeshki. I asked myself the question as I was doing this pick. I was like, just out of the MMA math curiosity, and you guys can answer the question in the comments. How would McKinney deal with Mateusz Rambeshki, who's a destroyer of worlds and crazy durable? He probably looked good early, but he's not going to finish. He's probably getting knocked out in the second or third round. Probably second round. And I'm thinking Duncan could be similar to that. Deal with the chaos early and then find the kill late. I'm going Chris Duncan to find the kill in the second round. I'm going Chris Duncan to finish Terrence McKinney. I'd love to see him jump Gilly and pull it off in round 2 by submission because it's probably going to be a big plus money line. But I also think big punches and McKinney kind of turtling up and a stoppage live too. But I don't know, something whispering submission round 2, Chris Duncan for me, honestly, right now. As far as the odds, Duncan is minus 190. Opening odds were minus 110. Terrence McKinney plus 165. McKinney should be an underdog. And honestly, betting anything other than like McKinney first round or McKinney inside distance, I don't even need to money line it because it's not going to be a decision win for McKinney. I will be more shell-shocked than some massive championship fight loss for somebody than I would be with Terrence McKinney. If he comes, the day Terrence McKinney is a tactician, I'm sitting here shocked. I'm confused. I'm like, what? No, it's all blast, all go, no breaks. That's it. All gas, no breaks. That's it. And Chris Duncan can deal with that chaos, and he's going to. And Chris Duncan should beat him. I'm going with Chris Duncan to win, and I think he'll stop Terrence McKinney in the second round, potentially sub him. So watch for that sub line. We'll talk about the props, obviously, when they drop. Next fight on the card. It brings us to our featured prelim of the night. We have Grant Dawson versus Manuel Torres. I love this fight. I'm going Manuel Torres. I think Manuel Torres is going to catch Grant Dawson. I understand that Grant Dawson is a very skillful pressure grappler wrestler. But I also recognize that Manuel Torres is a destroyer of worlds with punching power. And Grant Dawson, he's got the glass slipper. He's got the glass jaw. You can tell me no, but he's got 2 violent knockout losses in 30 seconds or less? Hugh Pulley outside of the UFC and Bobby Green. It takes one precise shot and Dawson's going out. Why is that Grant Dawson doesn't respond well to straight punches specifically? Because he doesn't really roll with shots and he doesn't have much head movement. Grant Dawson can deal with guys winging wide shots at him, right? And he can block with the ear muffs up. But when it comes to parries and comes to slips, it's not his game. And Manuel Torres just happens to have a beam of a straight. And I think that Grant Dawson, if he is unsuccessful in not only getting this fight down, but keeping this fight down for essentially the whole damn time, he is at risk of getting knocked out constantly. Manuel Torres hits like a fucking Mack truck. He is one of the hardest punchers at 155, and he also has speed to go alongside of it. Now, of course, it cost them bad against Ignacio Bahamondes, but that is the stylistic kryptonite to the blitz of Manuel Torres. It is a guy that is tactical with kickboxing, that has good counter striking and timing. Grant Dawson does not have those striking capabilities. Grant Dawson brings the takedown threat. But it's not like Manuel Torres doesn't have some grappling. The submission win, the 2 takedowns against the side of Chris Duncan, I think that's pretty impressive. I think Manuel Torres' ground game is a little bit, I don't want to say underrated because I don't hear people shitting on it, but it's maybe unknown. He's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, recently got that. And we saw the submission against Duncan. He's fought off takedowns before. He's got decent takedown defense. I think he fights pretty well on the body lock and fights the hands when they, try to drag him to the floor on the inside, against the cage and in the clinch. I think that Grant Dawson could get takedowns. But what happens then? Dawson's on top and Manuel Torres using that explosiveness, bursting back up to the feet or using the proper techniques and he gets up. Is Grant Dawson going to buzzsaw Torres and choke him out? He's going to gas him out, which is beating on him for, 3 rounds? Maybe. Or is anytime Grant Dawson striking, and then if he's unsuccessful with takedowns, dealing with a guy with good range in Manuel Torres, who likes to put pressure on as well, which is another caveat. Manuel Torres comes forward, and it's a lot harder to take a guy down as he's coming at you than it is when you pushing forward on him. How does Grant Dawson deal with that type of blitz? Grant Dawson's striking has improved. Does he have too much confidence in his stand-up like Ryan Loder did, and he gets knocked out in a big shot early? I think that's live. I think Manuel Torres, his puncher's chance and his punch power and just his timing on his strikes and his God-given gift of speed and athleticism, I think these tools in the striking are far too much for me to overlook against a guy in Grant Dawson who has good wrestling, who has good top control. But does he secure a submission? It's not like Manuel Torres doesn't train grappling. Where I'll go with it is this. The disparity in their grappling skills versus their disparity in the striking skills. I think Manuel Torres is a lot better at striking than Grant Dawson, like a level and a half, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels up. Level and a half is an underrated mark. He's a whole different category of striker. In grappling, yes, Grant Dawson's the better wrestler offensively, and I'm sure he has better jiu-jitsu. I'm sure if they, did a grappling match, Grant Dawson would probably win. But what about MMA grappling? How much better is it than Manuel? Does he just pin him down and beat him up? Is that what he's able to do? We'll find out. Does he take his back and just strangle him? Or is Manuel Torres a difficult beast to deal with those skinny, long limbs from bottom, and he's able to create space, get back up to his feet, and then Dawson's forced into a striking fight that he is not ready for? I think Manuel Torres is knocking him out. I'm going Torres by KO. I'm going to trust in the guy with the knockout ability, and it's not like Torres is shown to have sus grappling. I get it. You can say, oh, but he got, heel hooked and knee barred outside of the UFC. Okay, those are years ago. He's a different beast now. And inside of the UFC, it's not like guys are grapple fucking him ever. He's got nasty athleticism and explosiveness. And he does have a heavy ability to kick if need be. Normally, those guys also have pretty good hips. And I think that we're going to see Grant Dawson looking up at the lights for a second time in the UFC. And I'm going Manuel Torres by KO in this fight. Too much power. A straight shot. And it was a light straight from King Green that put him out. He fought Joe Selecki after that, who has no power. Okay. Who's just a grappler. He fought Rafa Garcia after and beat him up, but Rafa Garcia is not a power hitter. He knocked out Jared Gordon because Gordon got hit by a car the day before the fight. And then he won a decision against Diego Ferreira, who has some power, but is a looping puncher. And, washed in his 40s. A prime Manuel Torres, freak athlete. Give me Manuel Torres by KO. Torres is sitting at plus 170 as an underdog. Grant Dawson at minus 200. I'm favoring the Torres side to scorch some power shots and put Grant Dawson unconscious here. So we're going with Manuel Torres by knockout in the featured prelim of the night. And overall, I must tell you guys, stacked prelims. My God, stacked prelims. let's jump up to the main card. Main card opener. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. It's Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov. Oh, it gets tricky here. Popping a Zin in for this. I'm going to go with Bogdan Guskov. You might be saying, but man, Jan could have got that decision against Alberg. But Alberg was kind of running and dancing the whole time. Guskov is a whole different style. Guskov is the forward pressure power striker. Guskov is the guy that has big shots that he can land in close range. And then if you start pressing on him, he's got nasty counters. Bogdan Guskov has serious death touch power with fast hands, with, I think, good footwork and a rhythm that he has in his striking. And it just like, it keeps getting better with Bogdan Guskov. Whereas we have to be realistic. Jan Blachowicz is less than 3 months away from being 43. I can't pick that against the literal hottest prospect / contender right now at light heavyweight in Bogdan Guskov. Blachowicz could find success attacking the calf of Bogdan. I expect him to attack the legs. That's his game, honestly. Jan Blachowicz can leg kick beautifully. The thing is, if Bogdan gets caught up on the outside and legs chopped apart, sure, Jan Blachowicz could win a tactical decision against him, but that's not necessarily the style in which Bogdan fights. Bogdan will absorb those kicks and then look to close the gap as you kick hard. Weird comparison because it's not exactly like Wanderlei Silva, but the way that, you know, he would overwhelm people after they're trying to attack the legs. Bogdan is then overwhelmed Blachowicz after attacking the legs. And I must tell you, I think in boxing range, in a boxing style fight, in closer punch range, I think that Bogdan Guskov has an edge over this version of Jan Blachowicz that we even saw against Alberg, but especially a worse one that we might see here. He's about to be 43. We got to be realistic. Yes, the Dan Ferreira fight could have went his way. Yes, he was close with Alberg. Yes, he drawed with Ankalaev, but we're talking about 2 years, 3 months. We're talking about 3 years. We're talking about, okay, 8 months ago. But at nearly 43, now to go out and take out Bogdan Guskov, who's nasty on the feet, who's quick. He's one of the fastest light heavyweights. He's got good boxing and range, good looping puncher, good teeps to the body, good reads. I just think it's a mistake to call that. I'm not going to. I'm going Bogdan Guskov. I think he's going to knock the aging Jan Blachowicz out. You might be thinking, bro, you're crazy. Jan Blachowicz got a chin on him. I think of it like this. The one kryptonite long time ago, Thiago Santos caught him with the barrage, right? I think about this and I'm like, not that Bogdan is similar to Thiago. I think Bogdan is better than Thiago Santos. It's the way that Bogdan can throw in the range, right? If Jan Blachowicz is trying to fade away from the onslaught and Bogdan is looping shots as he closes distance, I could see Bogdan catching Jan Blachowicz over the top and putting him out. I think Bogdan Guskov is live for a knockout here. I feel like he's going to end up chinning Jan Blachowicz. Yes, Jan is tactical and technical, and that works well against an Alex Pereira making the light heavyweight debut, who was very worried about the grappling, and then it ended up being some control on the ground and not much happening. Yes, it works against Carlos Alberg, who is a tactical point fighting counter striker. But for a nearly 43-year-old, the fucking nightmare matchup is a fast starter, is a light heavyweight that's going to get in your face and throw big shots, that isn't afraid of you, that isn't afraid to close that distance and take big risks. That's what Bogdan Guskov is. That's why I love him in this matchup. I'm going Bogdan Guskov by knockout. I think he's going to close the gap on Jan Blachowicz, make it a little bit more of a fast-paced fight, and he's going to test Jan Blachowicz's close-range boxing and his hand speed. He's going to check the timing of Blachowicz, and we're going to see that he's going to end up probably looking 43 when he's looking up at the lights after getting caught by a hook. I'm going Bogdan by KO. I think he's going to be too sharp, and I don't think Blachowicz is going to be taking him down and grappling him up. Blachowicz is a slight favorite at -115. He opened at -150. Wow. Bogdan, wow, they just switched the odds. Now it's -125 Blachowicz. -105 Bogdan Guskov. Now it's +105. I got the underdog at plus money too. Bogdan Guskov as an underdog at +105. I'm going to pick the side of the up-and-coming versus the champion. He challenged for the belt. He's fought the who's who, but he's nearly 43. when you're in the 40s, eventually it happens. You might be like, oh, but Dalby, but it's not this level. And Isaac Maiev does not have the punch power and ability to close the gap like Guskov. We saw, a guy in Muslim Sadykhov who's been looking amazing, and then he fought Uros Medic and he got knocked out quick. I'm not trying to compare, somebody that was a world champion like Jan Blachowicz to those guys that are more mid-level, but I'm just pointing out the obvious that if Bogdan Guskov pushes a pace on Jan Blachowicz, I don't think the nearly 43-year-old can deal with that type of striking pace, specifically with the boxing. I don't think the reflexes are going to be the same that they were some years ago. And I think we're going to see Bogdan Guskov put Jan Blachowicz out in this fight. Potentially a first-round KO for Bogdan Guskov as he chins Jan Blachowicz, and absolutely the stock goes through the roof, and he's one to watch here at light heavyweight, and he's in the running for a world title shot. I think Bogdan's a problem at this weight class. I liked him on the come up. When he got signed, I picked Volkan against him. But I said, man, I still like the style, though. There's something special here with this kid. And he's really put it together, going on a tear now. 4 wins in a row, right? All finishes, too. He's not winning no decisions. Got 3 knockouts in the bunch. He's also shown a little bit of grappling against Elikano, who's actually deceptively good on the ground. I think Bogdan Guskov is going to handle business here. I'm going Guskov by KO. He should catch Jan Blachowicz in punch range and show his strike speed advantage. I think Blachowicz is getting ran over. Guskov knockout in this fight, and I can't wait for it. Next fight on the card, we have the battle of flyweights. Brandon Moreno versus Tatsuro Taira. Woo. I'm going to go with Tatsuro Taira to beat Brandon Moreno in a competitive fight. I will tell you, this right here is an easy fight night main event. I don't love that we're looking at 3 rounds. I wish that we had 5 rounds between these two. I really do. I would love to see a 5-round fight because this is like a, potential top contender matchup. I would rather it be 5 rounds. In a 3-round fight, though, I like Taira's chances. I think Taira's going to look sharp in this one. Now, Brandon Moreno has real good Mexican-style boxing. He's got a nasty straight right. He's got heavy body kicks. He closes the gap well. He can mix in takedowns. He's a strong wrestler. He's a good scrambler. He's hard to control on the ground. The thing is, I feel as though Taira, 25, I feel like he's still just hitting his stride. I think that Taira can actually catch Moreno with some straights. I think Moreno is definitely going to look to push Taira backwards. I think Taira can counter that pressure with some engagements in the clinch. I think this is a good strategy. And then looking for the back takes in the clinch as opposed to just trying to shoot naked takedowns on Brandon Moreno. Now, I will say, I think Taira can hit some trips here on Moreno. And I think when they get to the ground, you guys are going to see that Tatsuro Taira is just faster in transition and positionally superior to Brandon Moreno. And I think Taira will find the back of Moreno throughout this fight and secure moments of control. Moreno, definitely very scrambly, definitely going to be looking to spin out of the position. And I am sure he will find ways to escape. I think it's going to be a back and forth fight. I don't think it's necessarily a washout on either side. If Taira went out there and submitted Moreno early in the fight, or even just in general, if he finishes, that's crazy. That's like a huge statement. That's like, holy shit. A decision, 29-28 split decision across the board will suffice as far as impressive goes against a guy like Moreno, who's a legend of this weight class. I just think Taira, when they get to the ground, is going to be better. And I feel like in the striking, Taira has deceptively fast hands. He has pretty sharp straight punches. He's been getting better in the striking. Obviously, the Hyun-Sung Park win hasn't aged that well because Park got destroyed by Bruno Silva after. But I still look at that. I'm like, all right, easily gets through Park. Fight before that, a split decision loss to Brandon Royval. Understand that I picked Royval as my underdog lock that week. I felt like Taira wasn't ready yet. This time, I think Taira has grown a lot from that Royval fight, which was over a year ago now. And I think he's prepared for this chance against Brandon Moreno. And with a win, Taira then is in position to potentially fight for the belt, maybe rematch against Royval, or potentially the winner of Manel Kape versus Brandon Royval in a number 1 contender fight with Kyoji Horiguchi, maybe cutting the line for a title shot. A lot of interesting stuff playing out here in the flyweight division. I think that Taira is going to be able to strike with Moreno better than some might anticipate. I think the strike speed is a factor. Yes, Moreno has a nasty straight right that I could see landed on Taira down the center line, especially if Taira stays a little upright and stiff. But because it's 3 rounds, I think Taira can let loose a little bit more. I think Taira's gonna be able to catch Moreno with some shots. I think there'll be some competitive grappling exchanges, but Taira's jiu-jitsu prowess will win him those grappling exchanges, and he will find dominant positions on the ground and win in competitive fashion against one of the best flyweights to ever do it, really, in Brandon Moreno. Like, he's got to be in the lineup of the top ever. Former world champ, the legacy with Figueiredo, even the close fights with Pantoja, who's just always had his number. But I just think it's Taira's time. I think that he finds positions on the ground. I think he lands some decent shots. I think Taira can deal with Moreno's Mexican-style in-range boxing and find success with strikes of his own, into takedown attempts, into back takes, into control against the cage, into scrambling moments where he wins. I think Taira's going to be faster on the mat, and I'm going to favor that jiu-jitsu skill over the badass in Brandon Moreno, man. Tough fight. I think split decision is live. I'm going to say Taira 29-28. There will be moments for Brandon Moreno, but Taira will get the hand raised at the end. Now, if he gets the back dry early, pulls off a rear naked choke, something crazy like that, my God. Minus 115 for Taira, minus 105 for Brandon Moreno. At open, Taira was minus 110 and Brandon Moreno was minus 110. So even odds. And they just switched. It's now minus 135 Taira, plus 115 Moreno. So it went from essentially even to Taira as a slight favorite in the spot. I'm going to go towards the slight favorite side of Tatsuro Taira to get this thing done by a hard-fought decision in a very competitive fight. Both guys have high-level skills. Moreno, obviously more battle-tested, but I take positives away from the damn Brandon Royval fight. It was over a year ago, and he went to a split decision. I think he can pass this Moreno fight. And then you look at, Moreno lost that split decision to Royval too. So good matchup between the two. Definitely like a rematch with Royval on the horizon for either one of them. Dope fight if it happens. Obviously, Manel Kopp on the horizon fighting, at Vegas 113 the weekend after this one. So lots of implications leading into 2026 with the winner of this fight putting themselves in at least the #1 contender spot, but potentially a world title chance. I'm going to say Taira is the guy that does it. And I think that he's able to beat Brandon Moreno by decision here in a good matchup with the superior jiu-jitsu and the deceptively superior strike speed as well. Next fight on the card. Henry Cejudo versus Payton Talbott. I think that the side of Payton Talbott should be in for, I don't want to say a gimme in this fight, but I think that the side of Payton Talbott should be good to go in this spot against Henry Cejudo. I have to say, I feel like Henry Cejudo is retiring after this fight. So where's his head at? He's lost 3 in a row. But it's not like he's looked terrible in the 3 fights. It's just, where is the mind of the man at talking about walking out the door? It went from Cejudo, Olympic gold medalist, dialed into the fight game, to retirement, to smoking a lot of weed, to now coming back, to 3 straight losses. I feel like Payton Talbott is in this spot to win, not to lose, against a guy 11 years older than him. Payton Talbott is a sharp shooter from distance. He's going to have a 6-inch height advantage. He's going to have a pretty serious distance strike edge. Granted, the reach not as substantial, 2.5-inch reach advantage. The thing about Talbott is he had like a breakout performance as he dominated hot prospect Felipe Lima from the All-Stars gym, who was looking like a destroyer at 145. Right before that, Barcelos able to beat him and pulled off a win as a massive underdog. And it's kind of wild, right? Just one fight removed from that to a victory, and then bam, let's give him Henry Cejudo. But how I look at it is, it's more of a, when is the timing of this fight? It's like we have an aging Cejudo who, yes, wrestles well, but is he going to be able to close that gap on Payton Talbott and find the takedowns? Like, Cejudo, it more is, where do his motivations lie? You might be asking yourself the question, well, Barcelos is older and he pulled it off. Yeah, but Barcelos never held a throne. Barcelos, even though he's, more advanced age for the fight game, he's still chasing something because he never was there. Henry Cejudo had 2 belts around his shoulders at one point. He was the world champion. He retired. He came back and challenged for the belt and he lost. And then he's lost more fights since then. I think Payton Talbott's going to be too primed and sharp with the distance striking. I think you guys will be surprised by the takedown defense. I think that Cejudo could hit a couple of takedowns and there'd be some competitive scrambles, but I question how deep Cejudo's willing to go and dig to beat Payton Talbott. Talbott's the better striker without a doubt. From long range, he's going to be sharp. He'll be catching Cejudo with stray shots. Henry Cejudo's grappling, like, is that going to be what gets the win? He's going to take him down. He's going to beat him up. He's going to control him. He's going to be like Barcelos out there. It's going to happen to Talbot 2 times in a row when he just dealt with Felipe Lima, who's a good grappler. I don't think so. I think Talbot's footwork's too nice. I think Talbot's too primed. I think his distance striking is too sharp. I think he's too long. I think Henry Cejudo's going to be caught chasing a little bit. He's going to look to wrestle. He'll get frustrated as he actually has some resistance on the Talbot side. I think he'll have a fairly hard time getting to Talbot with punches. I think Talbot catches him with some big straights. I could see Talbot hurting Cejudo with shots to the body in this. I could see Talbot rocking him with the straight, but does he put Cejudo away? Hard to say. I feel like Payton Talbot is going to end up winning a decision against a Cejudo that has 1 foot out the door. If this was Cejudo saying, I'm going back for my title, I'm going to prove you all wrong, it's a different situation than Cejudo admitting like he's retiring after this. They are looking to build Payton Talbot off of this. What do they? They want to give Cejudo the send-off win against a blue chip prospect that's very well liked? No. This is a spot designed for Payton Talbot to cut the line, okay? Payton Talbot with a win is now fast-tracked. You beat a former champion, Henry Cejudo. There's a Sean O'Malley fight. There is a Song Yadong fight, etc., etc., etc. There is massive matchups. There's Corey Sandhagen. If Payton Talbot can pass this test, he is amongst the elites now, which it's kind of crazy. 10 months ago, losing to Barcelos is just, who's the UFC backing more? And Talbot did show clear improvements against Lima, and I will push this narrative. I think that Payton Talbot completely overlooked Raoni Barcelos. I don't think he respected the wrestling. I don't think he respected the game as, he's this old Brazilian. I'll knock him out. And then it's like, oh shit, no, this guy's for real on the ground. I can't put him away. I can't stop these takedowns. You think he hasn't been absolutely killing it with the grappling defense? He has. And to deal with Cejudo, he will. He'll be the sharper shooter in this one against the aging former double world champion, Henry Cejudo. And I'll pick Payton Talbot to outstrike him, to stop takedowns, and to secure a win here by decision. I think he's going to beat Henry Cejudo in a competitive but impressive win where he should probably be a step ahead throughout. The striking will look a lot sharper and faster. I expect Cejudo to look a little bit old, and people have to say, damn, man, he look washed. He is washed. This is Payton Talbot's time, and he should secure the victory in this spot. Odds for the fight. Payton Talbot is a minus 240 favorite against former world champ Henry Cejudo. At open, they were wide too. It's plus 230 now for Cejudo. It even grew as we're talking about it. No props yet. I wish the props were out, man. I wish I could go into a prop dive, man. Payton Talbot is not surprising. I think that I'm going to use a weird comparison, like Ian Gary Bilal. Like, I think Cejudo will struggle to hit the takedowns, might hit a couple, but the distance striking for Talbot will be sharp. Cejudo will land some punches, but Talbot will land the bigger punches. Cejudo will have some moments, but Talbot will have a lot more of them. And I think Payton Talbot is going to secure victory. And I think he's taking it home by unanimous decision against the aging former world champ. Interesting, though, the picks are pretty 50-50. I think you can't overly judge this Barcelos loss. Barcelos is on fire right now. Henry Cejudo, the flame is out. He's made his money. He's done it. He's been there, done that. I don't think he needs this anymore. Where like Talbot is striving up the ranks, looking for the big chance, and now looking to capitalize on the big chance. And I think he's going to. Payton Talbot to win by decision against Henry Cejudo makes the most sense to me. If he knocks him out, that's major, but he's going to have to hit him with a perfect body shot to put him away. And maybe a clean body shot to an aging Cejudo who doesn't want this bad. Maybe it does fold him. Like, Mighty Mouse caught him with the knees to the body in their first fight. Maybe Talbot tries to follow suit, clinch knees to the body if they tie up on the inside. Maybe Cejudo's TKO'd in the first round. It's possible. And that will blow Talbot's stock through the roof. But I think more so a tactical decision in a hard-fought fight where he'll be pressed in the wrestling a bit, but he'll defend. Where he'll be pressed in the striking a bit, but he'll counter and he'll land bigger and better shots and have more moments. So Talbot to get it done is my prediction here. And he'll be retiring Henry Cejudo with a 4-fight losing streak, unfortunately for him. Next fight on the card. It is the co-main event of the evening. Alexandre Pantoja versus Joshua Van. I have been a Joshua Van's witness all the way up, okay? I have believed in what he can do, and look where he is now. I have called the success will come, and I will not pick against that. As he dethrones Alexandre Pantoja, that is going to be my prediction. I'm going with Joshua Van. Now, I know some folks are like, yo, Why are you doing it against Pantoja? The grappling is too much. Joshua Van has a frame that is difficult to control in grappling. He has a frame that is difficult to take the back on and threaten with a submission on. He has the frame to scramble out of those spots. And striking, Joshua Van clearly better. Very good punch combinations. What I like about Joshua Van in this matchup with Pantoja, because Pantoja is known for such good durability, the way that Joshua Van strikes is punch combinations, right? It's not just one big shot. With Pantoja, a lot of guys like winging flurries at him or trying to catch him with one big shot. It's not going to work. You have to catch him with multi-shot combinations. You have to sting him up on the feet with multiple shots and attack the body, attack the head, which Van does effortlessly. He's the best combination puncher in the flyweight division. He's in the top 2, top 3 best combination punchers in the UFC. Joshua Van can box at a high level. He also attacks the legs pretty well. Pantoja is going to be looking to grapple. Joshua Van, little low center of gravity. I think he's going to be able to stop the Pantoja grappling onslaught. I think Pantoja will have some moments, and I'm not saying he'll never land a takedown, but I think you'll be shocked at how good Joshua Van scrambles in positions on the ground. And how Joshua Van is going to turn this into a kickboxing fight. And how Joshua Van is going to be able to pick apart the great Alexandre Pantoja on the feet. I think there is a chance that Joshua Van's combinations get to Pantoja. That the work to the body and the strikes to the head equal knockout. Now, would I go out and tell you it's a guarantee he gets a KO? Fuck no. I think he can win a 5-round war against Alexandre Pantoja. I think you guys are going to be impressed by the cardio of Joshua Van. He's a high output striker, and Pantoja is going to have to deal with a guy that is ripping multi-shot combinations, who brings forward pressure, who is very light on his feet, who is defensively sound in grappling, who scrambles at a high level. I think that Joshua Van is a problem for Alexandre Pantoja. I think Pantoja is going to look to drag his ass to the ground. He's going to be met with some serious resistance. He's going to be met with some big shots to the head. Pantoja doesn't have the best striking. He's a bit of a wild puncher, and at times the head is there to be hit. And I can see Joshua Van rocking him with head strikes. And I can see Pantoja being forced in a position where he has to panic grapple, and then there's more shots from Van. And Pantoja is then forced backwards into a retreat, and Van's then pressing him, ripping combos against the cage. Joshua Van could land the death punch. He has the power to do it. But if not a knockout, Joshua Van could put a high output masterclass boxing clinic on Alexandre Pantoja as well. I think Pantoja is dealing with a guy that he has never looked at any similar real matchup. Like, nobody has the combination ability of stringing punches together that Pantoja has seen before. Kai Kara-France, big one-shot hitter. Asakura, big one-shot hitter. Steve Erceg, who gave him a war, more so a one-shot hitter. Brandon Royval, flurrying shots, good ground game. Brandon Moreno, big straights, nice body kicks, good wrestling game. Alex Perez, nasty calf kicks, big flurries, closing range, suspect grappling. Obviously, you see Manel Kape, who's a good distance point striker. Decent combinations, too. There's a while ago, back in 2021, but I don't think he's able to string punches together like Joshua Van. You look at his entire fighting career. There has not been somebody like this. And of course, for Joshua Van, he hasn't fought somebody like Pantoja either. He beat Royval the last time out in a badass war, able to beat Bruno Silva, a veteran of the game, beat strong grappler Ray Saruya, who's a damn submission specialist, and was able to deal with that onslaught and find shots on the feet. And that was 8 months ago. And the rate that Joshua Van has improved at is insane. I think Joshua Van is going to be slippery in clinch exchanges and grappling positions. And I think Joshua Van is going to be successful with big punch combinations and mixing in some calf kicks too on Alexandre Pantoja on the feet. And I think if Pantoja gets to his back, Joshua Van will stay safe, he will stay conservative, and he will eventually find his way out of the compromised spots. And I do believe in Joshua Van's ability to scramble on the mat and escape positions. I am favoring the side of Joshua Van. I am picking and new flyweight champion. The Van's witness for a long time leads to me witnessing Joshua Van as the flyweight champ. Pulls off a big upset here against Alexandre Pantoja in the co-main event. Plus 170 for Joshua Van as the underdog. Alexandre Pantoja minus 200. Opening odds for the fight, minus 260 for the Pantoja side. Now it's moving again, minus 210 to plus 170. I think it's close. The odds are not crazy wide either. You look at some of the recent odds for Pantoja and other fights. When Pantoja was scheduled to fight Carl France, -230, Asakura -260, Urseg -185, right? Sitting around a similar range as his championship run has been. But this is the most difficult stylistic test. I am telling you guys, Joshua Van is different than everybody else. He has a rare ability to string shots together. He's 24 years old. This guy is a sponge, man. Every fight, he makes improvements. He fought nearly 5 months ago. And by the time they get to the fight, it will be 5 months. He's going to be a lot better than 5 months ago. Alexandre Pantoja is 35, nearly 36. Incredibly good, but there's not going to be much changes in the game. It's a skill set maintenance at this point. And I think Joshua Van is going to take home a massive upset and be wearing that belt around his waist come Saturday at UFC 323. I think we're going to close out the pay-per-views with a sensational performance by Joshua Van and new champion. And for Paramount, they got a guy that absolutely is going to bring entertaining fights every time. And I'm sure we're going to get a rematch between the two. I'm going with Joshua Van to counter the grappling style, to outstrike, and to succeed. Because I think that Pantoja's striking, it gets credit because of his dog toughness and chin, but nobody's ripping combos at him like Van will be. Nobody's attacking the body like Van will. I think that Joshua Van's going to do bad things to Pantoja. And I think Joshua Van is taking home the win. Live for a knockout, but a decision doesn't shock me either. I'm going and new champion. The striking will carry weight, and it'll truly put a test to that Pantoja chin. I'm going Joshua Van for the W and new champion. I love the co-main event. Fans, witnesses, let's stand up. Let's go, Joshua Van. Next fight, main event of the evening. If you guys are watching and enjoying, make sure you smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, and make sure you hype the video too. Merab Dvalishvili versus Petr Yan 2. I am picking the side of Merab Dvalishvili to win again, and I think he will win better this time. Merab, he's a destroyer of worlds. His wrestling and his pressure is the definition of relentless. He has deceptive boxing skills. People don't realize Merab did some amateur boxing. Merab has good forward pressure and flurrying punches into takedown attacks. Merab has some deceptive punch power to go alongside of it. He had Sandhagen wobbled in the fight. Petr Yan is a maestro of kickboxing and a sharpshooter with his hands. My God, and his legs. Petr Yan's an amazing striker, but he needs room for that amazing striking to work. Now, he does have decent clinch attacks with knees to the body, knees up high in the tie clinch, and elbows, but it's not going to work as he's pressed back by Merab Dvalishvili. I think Merab is going to look to back Yan up early. I think he's going to rip him with some punch combinations towards the cage into the takedowns. I think he's going to test that Petr Yan cardio from the start. I think Merab's going to take him down. I think Petr Yan's going to be frustrated. This is the second time they're fighting. Merab 50-45'd him in the first one. Since that point, though, it's not like Petr Yan hasn't made a good, effort out. Beat Song Yadong, right? Beat Davis and Figueiredo. Beat Marcus McGee. 3 straight wins, and he's looked sharp in his fights. But nothing from those fights equals I'm beating Merab this time. I actually think Merab is going to live up to his word. Merab said that he wants to be the first guy to finish Petr Yan in the UFC and as a pro. I think that Merab Dvalishvili is going to finish Petr Yan this time. There was moments in the last fight, there was testy positions where Merab had the back of Yan and could have threatened with the rear naked choke. It just didn't come to be. But I'll tell you, if you look, this first fight was a while ago for Merab, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fights ago, and then 7 fights when they get in there. So double the fights in the meantime for Merab as opposed to Yan. I think that Merab Dvalishvili is a bad matchup for Petr Yan. The relentless pressure, the pressure with the boxing, the takedown threat, and then when they get to the ground, and when Merab said, I'm going to be the first guy to finish him, I believe it too. I think Merab is going to look to find the neck of Petr Yan. As Yan looks to get back up to the feet, watch for Merab to switch to the front side and attempt to lock in a Darce. Watch for Merab to jump the back and look for the rear naked strangle. I think he could potentially catch Yan in some type of strangulation. I'm going to say Merab finishes Petr Yan this time. I really feel like if you look at the O'Malley fight, Merab takes things from the first fight, and then it's like, okay, I beat him this way that time. He was already so dominant the first time. He's like, okay, what about this time? Well, now I'm going to do this, this, and that better. I know this tell. Oh, as he looks to get up, there's an opportunity for me to lock something in. I think Merab Dvalishvili is going to scramble for a submission. I think Merab's going to strangle Petr Yan. I'm going Merab Dvalishvili by submission. I think he might submit him second, third round. Of course, it could be later, a tired Yan getting out wrestled, getting pressed, getting out worked, and then Merab locks in the choke. But I could see it earlier in the fight. And Yan just shell-shocked that this maestro of a fighter absolutely picked him apart, like, and finished him this time. Like, I'm telling you, it's like, when he fights you for a first time, there's a sense, like, of course, Merab, I'm not going to say he's conservative, but there was a sense of like, okay, I'm still making reads as I'm blitzing forward, pressing and beating you up. This time, it's like, I know what Petr Yan does. I can make the reads on those snapping kicks to the body, that long, educated jab, the straight punches and the combination shots in range, the big knees, the big elbows. I see it all. I know how he's going to fight. And I doubt Petr Yan's going to look for a spinning back fist in this one because he'll probably end up taken down if he does so. And potentially a spin from Yan could get him in big trouble with Merab taking his back and choking him out. I think Merab is going to be able to mess him up in the grappling department. I think the physicality is unmatched. I think Merab is better since their first fight. I think Yan is about the same, maybe a little better. He's 32. He's probably a little better, but like Merab seems way better. Merab seems like a different animal now. And I don't think Yan's tactical kickboxing and sniper style is able to keep Merab off of him. I don't think he's got the footwork to, stay away and run away the whole night and avoid these takedowns. Because when Merab gets to the hips, it's on the ground. When Merab gets to the body, it's against the cage. And if Merab gets to the back, it's live for the strangle. And if he's on the front side in an over-under spot, sprawl position, I can see Merab locking up a neck into like a Darce choke or something of that magnitude. I'm going Merab Dvalishvili by submission this time. I think he is going to finish Petr Yan. I think Merab has put a lot of work in to finishing the submissions now. I think like that's the new wrinkle in his game that he's working on. He has the wrestling, he has the pressure, he has the cardio, he has the boxing. Now it's the submissions. Able to find it against Sean O'Malley. I think he can find it here against Yan. I like that he's talking about finishing this fight, and I believe him too. And I think that knocking a high-level striker like Petr Yan on the feet out, probably not. But taking down a Yan, catching him in transition with the submission, and strangling him, seems like probably, yeah. I'm going Merab by sub over Petr Yan in the main event of UFC 323, and he is a massive minus 500 favorite. Not surprised. Plus 385 for Petr Yan. Minus 500 for Merab. I think Merab is a lock, of course. I expect that line to, probably get a little bit wider. There will be some Petr Yan believers out there, but no. He's no match. Merab is too much. Merab is going to get after him. Yan couldn't stop the onslaught last time. I think that it's worse for him this time, and I do believe this time Merab finishes him and Merab submits him. I'm going Merab Dvalishvili, and still champion and the greatest bantamweight of all time in Merab for sure. I'm excited as hell for this UFC 323 main event. I really think that Petr Yan's kickboxing is sharp, and I love his style, and I'd love to watch him fight Umar Nurmagomedov or a rematch with O'Malley. But against Merab, it's not going to work. He's not going to have that time to find those shots, make those reads, and then land those perfect strikes from mid-range. Merab's going to be in his face, making it a dogfight, and Yan's not going to be able to keep up with that pressure pace, that high output, that takedown threat. He's not going to be able to open up with strikes because of the takedown threat. And then when they go to the ground, I'm telling you, Merab is going to find the kill this time. He's going to see the opening. It's going to open up. When Yan looks to get up, there's going to be a mistake that's made. I can see the front headlock. I can see the rear naked. Like, I can see that type of position for Merab equaling a submission victory here. And that's why I'm going to go out and say Merab wins by sub. And I believe that his jiu-jitsu skill set is the skill set that he's been improving more so. And he's going to look to get this one done by submission. And I do believe he's going to end up securing the submission win. And still champ, Merab Dvalishvili. Those are the full card predictions for UFC 323. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you all smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Make sure you subscribe it up. Keep it locked in. I got the daily content, so make sure you turn the post notifications on so you don't miss a thing. Big W to everybody watching. Make sure you drop a W in the comments if you got nothing to say. But I do want to hear your takes. Fans, witnesses, where we at? And then Merab Dvalishvili and still where we at. I want to hear you guys' picks, especially for the big fights, down in the comments below. But definitely let me know some of your favorites. Let me know what you agree with, what you disagree with. I want to hear from the people. Let's have some good chats down in those comments. Nothing to say in the comments. We just enjoy the content as always. W to boost the algorithm for your boy. And yeah, hype the video up. That's YouTube's new thing. Hype the video. I'll be live for the full card. Looking forward to that. Fight Companion, going to be pretty fun. At the time of the recording, we're heading into the off week, but I'll still be dropping the daily content. But maybe you're watching this on fight week, and this Saturday, you know, I'll be live for you guys. So I'm pretty hyped for it. I'm excited. So blessings to the people. Happy Thanksgiving if you're watching around the Thanksgiving week. Hope you guys enjoyed the UFC 323 breakdown and supposedly the last pay-per-view of all time. So this might be the last ever pay-per-view breakdown. Then I'll just be calling them numbered events from here on out. Remains to be seen with the Paramount deal. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you all in the next one. Much love and peace out.